Being a psychologist, one of the things that I made a vow to do is to treat every child like my son and every young lady like my daughter. Welcome to the Father Mentor Show. How you doing, everybody? We are in a network of KCWG, thetruth.com, and you can see us on Facebook at 6 o'clock Pacific time. And also, I got some YouTube things out there. I'm your host, Dr. T.E. Russell, school psychologist, educational psychologist, and evangelist. We got an interesting topic. We're going to have a conversation later with Pastor Frank Starks. But before I even get into the topic, because the topic is going to be in special education, do you go with an advocate or do you go with an attorney? What do you do? And I had an experience. Usually I do my own advocacy and I do my own mediation. But this particular time in my life, I actually was my own advocate and I got an attorney. So I'm going to talk about that later. But before I do that, I want to kind of just throw this vibe out because I have to do what I feel in my spirit to do. I want to talk about the age of accountability for 2 minutes. And you're probably saying, well, what does that got to do with advocacy and law? It has nothing to do with it, but it has to do with children. And what I want to tell you is that I want you guys to take some good notes tonight, and I want you to hear me that the Lord is coming soon. I wouldn't be a man of God, and I wouldn't be a man if I didn't tell you that the Lord Jesus Christ is coming soon. I look at the age accountability, and the age accountability, some people say is 12 and under. But it's really the comprehension of that child or people that have an understanding of who God is. And you're probably wondering why you bring that up. It's because, when I look around and I look at the world, I'm in California, so the gas prices are going to go up to probably $7. They're like 6 something right now. I look at the music. It's demonic. I look at the TV programs, demonic. I look at the schools and all around the country, and they have a spirit of the Antichrist, which is anti-Christ. In other words, there's no prayer, there's no talking about Jesus. You can't even see Christmas because it's Christ. I'm looking at just everything, the laws changing. I look at the parents that are frustrated and don't know what to do. With the children that have behaviors or the children that, let's say, have disabilities and they have, let's say, deep disabilities that they can't function or they're not mobile and they're frustrated and they're angry. They don't know what to do. And then you have inflation that's going off the chain. I look here in California, man, when you go to the grocery store, I mean, a gallon of, to get good eggs, that doesn't give you any indigestion or anything like that, or you have a lactose it's going to cost you $7 for eggs out here in California. The gas is going to cost you $6.15. The bread, the milk, it is ridiculous out here. And everybody here in California commutes. So I'm sitting there and I'm going, what is going on? So I don't know if you know, but the banks are closing. So we got to be careful if you leave your banks in or your money in the banks, because they might be gone, just like when 07, 08 hit. And then you have the government talking about UFOs and that Israel is in negotiation or talking with Biden about UFOs. You have the world is in chaos right now. And I don't care what country you are, it's in chaos. Now, you're probably saying, well, what does that have to do with today's topic? Today's topic filters down. So if you are in the world, it always comes down to the children. The Bible says, suffering to the little children. And I just feel so sorry for them. And I look at my little guy. My little guy uh, is a very special little guy, Down syndrome. He has very long hair, very different looking. And you're probably saying, well, why did you say different looking? Because a lot of people and kids with disabilities, when we go out or when we go to functions, kids stare at him. Kids stare at other kids that are different. People stare at other people that are different or indifferent. And my son has made me a better psychologist and made me want to go to war for him. Okay. And so I had an IEP the other day, not too long ago, and I am the mediator and I am the advocate, but I had an attorney. And I wanted to go over with you parents that are sitting back there and you just feel like you don't know what to do. You don't know what to do with your kids. But I want to give you some oversight of what an advocate can do for you and what an attorney can do for you. And then I'm gonna kind of tell you a little bit about my experience. Um, I'm gonna throw some stats at you a little bit. I haven't did that in a while, and then we'll go gradually into it. It's gonna be a short conversation today, but I hopefully you got your pen and your pads and sipping on some lemonade and take some notes. One out of every 54 children in the United States has autism and what we call a spectrum under the spectrum disorder. That means there's a spectrum. You have some kids that have a little bit more than others, some that can play the piano like Mozart, but can read music. Okay. That's a spectrum. You got some that can't communicate. That's some that can. Okay. 17% of children have a developmental disability. When you're talking about development, is how you develop. Can you crawl? When can you crawl? When did you walk? When did you see? When did you start to understand your ABCs, your one, two, threes? 9.4% of children have ADHD. It's attention deficit hyper disorder. So they're all over the place. And then there's inattention, kids that are inattentive. These stats really only scratch the surface physically, mentally, emotionally health conditions that make school challenging for students. You even have some that are legally blind. You have some that are spina bifida, which attacks your spine. And a lot of kids are in wheelchairs and their energy level is so low that they have to learn at home. Um, I want to read a few things to you also. And so here it is. So uh, when you have special education advocates, there's some limitations. I'm an advocate. I'm not an attorney. Um, I've been to court, different things like that, but on a level of an advocate, not an attorney. And I'm going to tell you the difference in a minute. So state and federal laws place firm limits on what advocates can and cannot do legally. Here's what here's what I can do. If I advocated for you, just like I have with Pastor Starks, this is what I could do. I can mediate between you and the school district with your permission. So what that means that before I even started whatever, I would have to have permission signed by the parent to the school that I can obtain your records, come to the school, talk to anybody in that school, even the principal, with your signed permission as a parent. I can provide you with information and resources and advice. I can do that. Okay. I can assist you in negotiating with the school, including sending letters and emails on your behalf. So that's very, very important legally because you have certain mandates and timeframes within the IEP process of time mandates that get these things out. A lot of times, the 60 days you have before the school district should uh, take notice and start that IP process. You actually should be assessed within that 60-day timeline. You have 15 days to get it out to the parent. There's there's even deep stuff like how do you mail it? How many times can you mail it before the parent doesn't respond? All of that is legal mandates that an advocate can help you with. Um, Advocates cannot, however, do anything that constitutes practicing law. Let me give an example. They can't give you legal advice. They can represent you in any formal legal hearings or court cases, and they can create or submit legal complaints and protests or documents. And you're probably wondering, like, what in the world does that mean? It means everything. And I'll tell you, we'll go further in that in a minute. Experienced special education lawyers can perform many of the same services as an advocate. For example, we can review the IEP, 504 plans, attend meetings with you, educate you on your rights, and help you find other support services. Um, what are the benefits of an advocate? Many advocates are trained as worked as educators. So let me stop right there. So a lot of times, a lot of attorneys really don't have that educational experience or that special educational experience until they go into law and they find out what specialty they want. The attorney that I had 30 years being a teacher. So 30 years she became a master teacher. So she understood the ramifications of, let's say, goals and benchmarks and reading and spelling. She understood the frequency and the fluidness of children having to have processing speech. She understood that. But when these attorneys become special education attorneys, they don't have the experience, let's say, that a psychologist does, or a special ed psychiatric social worker, or a director of special education, or like me, an administrator of psychological services over psychologists. They don't have that. They're not savvy in that. And you're probably asking, well, what's the difference? Well, the difference is this. A lot of times when you get an advocate, they'll come in and they will uh, talk to you. Pastor Starks, if you're there, you can come on in. It's fine. Um, and they don't know how to read a psych report, but know the basics of a psych report. That's what an attorney would tell you. So they have a team of people, let's say a psychologist like me on their team, and they'll go through the psych report and report down to the attorney. Whereas a mediator, or let's say not a mediator, but an advocate, they have limited skills. Me, I'm a little different. The only thing I don't have is a law degree. So if I had a law degree, it'd be on. But I got a wife that has one. So we might have to make that happen. But what I'm trying to tell you is that I really got blown away in the IP meeting the other day because I'm trying to figure out who's on my team.
Mm-hmm.
Am I on my team? Is the my attorney on my team? Is the teachers on my team? Is the psychologist on my team? And the reason I say that is because one of the things you should always do when your IP meeting is pause a lot. Don't talk a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
Say what you have to do and pause. When you pause, it's kind of like fighting. I've been practicing martial arts for like 30 years. And my master would say, when you're in the act of defense or offense, pause. I said, why would I do that? The fists are coming because they don't know you're going to pause and it just messes their brain up. And they either left-handed, they're using the left-handed of the brain, the left side or the right side. And when you pause, you stop everything
Mm-hmm.
because you know you're going to pause. They don't know that. So now you're figuring and you're understanding what is my next 2 or 3 moves. That is the same way you deal with attorneys or whatever. So in this meeting, I paused. I
Wow.
paused so long, it made everybody uncomfortable because they asked me a question. And the question is, Dr. Russell, do you have anything else to say? And have you met your needs? I paused for 30 seconds and just looked at him like this. When I got to the 15th second, I said, I'm still processing. I'm still thinking. If you looked at everybody on that team, even my attorney, their attorney, they got uncomfortable. And that's what you want. You want some vulnerability from somebody to see who people are.
Yeah.
So as we continue, man, I'm frustrated.
Wow.
Just like parents are frustrated. You know why they're frustrated? They want to know, what is my child? I know my child is Down syndrome, but what do you think he is?
Mm-hmm.
Just because he's Down syndrome doesn't mean he's retarded.
Right.
What we call intellectual disability. It doesn't mean he can't function. But what do you think about him? So I'm sitting up there looking at everybody and I'm just wondering, and I don't see the attorney saying anything. In other words, I wrote her today and said, what was your problem? You know, I'm bold, man. I don't care. And of course, there's always excuses, but she didn't say anything. And nobody said anything. And their attorney had to say, not the psychologist that does the eligibility, and that's what parents that's what they're gonna go to, man. They know you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't ask the right question, it's a wrap, it's over. And you can't go over and do the IEP if once you sign it,
Right.
it's like pretty much a wrap. Well, you signed it, you know. So I said, we haven't went over eligibility. Eligibility is the root of the IEP.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are you? Who are you? What's your function? How do you function? And so their psychologist said, I have the page, I can bring it up. I said, I have a photographic memory. You ain't got to do that. I got a problem with you saying my child is ID, basically mentally retarded. I got a problem with that. So the psych said, okay. Let me ask you this, man. If you're a parent, you're not
Okay.
an expert, but you're a parent expert, and the psych says, okay, what do you feel about that?
That's not okay.
That's not okay. It's like, I think I start laughing. I started laughing because I was upset and I didn't want to show my negative emotion. So I started laughing. And so I came back and said, do you mind if I have a teachable moment to explain eligibility? And I said it to the attorney, not her. I dismissed her. She said, sure. So I began and I want to say this with all the parents. Here's two words that you need to say to anybody in the IEP. I don't care who it is about your child. Here's the two words: prove it.
Mm-hmm.
Prove to me that my child can't learn. Prove to me that my child can't speak. Prove to me that my child can't think. Prove to me that my child will never think and never become who he's supposed to be. And prove to me that you know my child.
Right.
Because if you know my child, I'm going to know if you know my child because I know my child. So here it is. This is what I gotta say this, man, because I'm sad because parents wouldn't know these things. So there's a form. Let's say this is a form, and it has all 100 questions about your child. Let's say Isaiah, and you marking it sometimes, never, always, almost always. You remember that form?
I do. I
All
do.
parents in the world know that form. Okay.
Yeah.
And there's different names of the form. So you write on there, and on the top it says adaptive skills. And what parents don't know, write this down, parents, is that if you write the wrong numbers down on an adaptive rating scale and it's low, they legally have the right as a school district to say your kid is mentally retarded or ID. Did you know that? Of course you did. Of course you did. Now,
No, I didn't.
you didn't know?
No, I did not.
Okay, well, let me tell you a little trick of the trade because that's real. So the psychologist says, Dr. Russell, you and his mother, you guys rating him below average. I said, that's true. I paused. Pause. Make him uncomfortable. Make him vulnerable. Is that all? I said, is that all? Well, I was waiting for her to say this. It speaks to itself. I was like, please say that, please say that, please say that. So she said, well, it speaks to itself. So I said, have you ever been to my home? She said, no, of course not. My son has been to my home, and my son's been to his mother's home. We have a dual home. And when you write on a rating scale, does that basically say who he is, or does that say what the question asked? Because what the question asks and what he can actually do at home are two different things. I said, and that's why we have a formal range. Now I'm getting deep with her. And an informal range. I said, I know you're psych. I know you know that. Because when you say formal, it's what you can do right now. Informal is what I can mediate you to do. So if I can mediate you to go higher, that's a range. And it's a 90% confidence band, which is 6 or 7 degrees up and down. So if I added 6 or 7 to your scores, would he be below average? Yeah, he would, but he wouldn't be sub-average on an ID or mental record. Am I at that particular time, bro? The attorney screamed and said, I think we're gonna go with Dr. Russell. What do you other health impaired, speech, OT? Is anybody disagree? Nobody does. It's adjourned. Mm-hmm. Just like I told you when we went to your IP, I said, how long does it mean? It's gonna be 10 minutes. It's gonna be 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't even get deep with her and say, oh, and here's another trick I have to tell parents. If it's not on the assessment plan means a plan for your child to be tested, and then it has the people who's going to do it. But if you're a parent, have them write the type of test that's going to be utilized with your student. And at the bottom, it says other. Make sure you put alternative testing cognitive ability. Because if they don't do that and they just tested formal, everything that psych did is invalid. And because it's invalid, you are able, Pastor Frank starts, to demand. Now, now, here's the big cheese. You know, there's little fish and there's big fish. That is much as I can do on that level. But why would I need an attorney? Parents, you need an attorney. Let's say I say, Pastor, well, I'm going to use my son. And I'll say, Pastor Franks, you know, my son spoke sign language when he was in the 2nd grade. And we asked the school district to teach him sign language because he knew 200 words. So by the time he got in the 6th, 7th grade, Pastor, he doesn't speak it anymore. It's like ELL. An ELL student is an English language learner. In other words, if you don't use Spanish, you're going to lose Spanish.
Right.
So he lost it. So as an attorney, we asked for sign language teaching for the whole family. Oh, we asked for $30,000, $60,000 for teaching instruction. We asked for 30, 40,000 over here, excessive technology. We want over $150,000 because you hurt my child.
Mhm.
And you hurt my child, and I need compensatory damages. That means I don't need to give me the money, but I'm gonna spend it on him to get him at grade level.
Right.
That is the difference between an advocate and an attorney. What's your thoughts?
Well, I had both.
Yeah,
I had both.
yes,
But the
sir.
attorney, both advocate and attorney was just awesome.
Amen.
So the attorney was able to negotiate between their attorney and us.
Correct.
After we had the opening conversation, we were put in the conference room
Yes.
with our attorney, and then their attorney would just talk with ours out in the hallway, and then
Mediation.
bring mediation and bring it back to us. And we said no. We were hauling notes. Can't go for that. Can't go for that. So they finally just said, "Hey, you know what? How about if we just give y'all all the money and you figure out how do you want to
Hey,
deal with it?
that's right.
Thank you,
You're right.
thank you." You know what I'm saying? Because
Distribute that. How you
they
want
want
that distributed?
right, right. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
And then right for that, we're ready to pack up. We're done. We're out. We're going to take it to the next because there's another level you told us that we could take it to.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so they don't want to go to that level
Right. Right.
because the only thing you told me that level, the only thing that hurts is the kids because the attorney's going to get more. You know what I'm saying? Because it's the next level, but Isaiah wouldn't get any more.
Right.
Okay. So it's just a bigger platform. But they came through, man. They just threw everything in. And still, we were newbies. I'm pretty sure we could have got a lot more, but we didn't know. And so, we looked at in the $20,000 range. Let's go. Let's roll with it.
Right.
So, it was very helpful to us. But the attorney was smooth as silk. She negotiated her price in there.
Amen.
Some other things that we needed to do. She was calm, cool, collected. And then once we told her the story, because she knew part of the story,
Right.
once we told another story, oh no, it wasn't happening. And so it was cool. So we walked out that day victorious. We felt vindicated. We felt that we accomplished for our son, and so he did a great job. And the advocate brought us opportunity of legalese. The advocate brought us structure. The advocate taught us how to conversate and learn things, to learn their language, to find out what they're talking about. Like you said, pausing. Because I learned that from Susan Scott, which is the conversation master. She said, when you pause, it's called the heavy lifting of the conversation.
My God.
See what I say? And
My God.
whoever talks first is the one that's going to get it. So you pause. Okay. And it's called the heavy lifting because they have to think about what you just said.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And so they don't want to jump right in because they know that they might not say the right thing. And they're gonna get ate
Absolutely.
up.
Ate up.
So it was really good that you taught us how to advocate. And so even when we came to Texas, we were our own advocate. And they still call us advocates today. They say
I,
you guys are advocates for these children because we learned what
right.
to say. We learned how to say. And you know what the whole thing is? We know absolutely nothing, but we make them think we know something.
And I want you to tell the audience, I know we got to wrap it up, 29th hour, but a lot of people don't know that this IEP is transferable.
Yes.
So I was I was sharing with the my ex-wife. She said, "Why are you so why are you such an apex predator when it comes I don't even know if people know what an apex predator is, but there, but there, but there's uh, he has no predators, and I don't know if I resented that or whatever. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna let that go, but why? And I said to her, there is no guarantee you're going to stay in the state that you are currently in. I'm in the
Right.
state of California. Therefore, we try to get you because you're from California. We all from Cali. But if you're going to go to Texas, you need something what we call a legal defensible psychoeducational report and IEP. So when you take it there, they're probably going to say, oh my God, what in the world? Tell me a little bit about that before we close up, man.
Oh man. So most people know we just didn't have an IEP. We had an IEE.
Tell them
You
what that
know,
is.
individual educational. What's the last E for?
Evaluation.
Evaluation. So it was somebody outside the district. This was a professional who actually took Isaiah and assessed him and put it all in a format where they needed to be able to be read. Now, when we got to Texas, they have never seen an IEE. So it was like we were sitting, man, in an amphitheater. People that was waiting to see this, and they were looking at it like, "Wow, this is great. This is good. This is awesome. Wow, never saw that." And so Isaiah walked in, man, with a great team. People knowing what he's doing, professional stuff. And so it was really exciting to be able to do that. And through the IE, we found that Isaiah was not have autism, but he had uh, uh, the indefinite, what is it, hyperactive disorder through the IE, which is totally different, totally different thing. And so, but we got all of his services. I mean, it just laid it out for us, just like one, two, three, four, and it was done in such a professional way. So it was really good, man. So with the advocate and with the attorney, we got it. And you know what? These attorneys are there. If you pick one, you won't have to pay for it. The school have to pay for the attorney and give you your services. And it's transferable. We knew we'd be moving to Texas, and everything was just laid out, man. And like I say, Doctor Russell, I mean, you laid it out, you prophesied it, and just like everything you said, it happened.
Let me ask you this: with your IEP, I'm curious because I don't remember. Do you have a behavior management plan attached to that?
Behavior, is that a bit?
That's a bit.
Yep.
Okay. So I want to explain this, and then we're gonna wrap it up. Um, I know this is kind of intense and left field, but I had a friend that lost his grandson to prison because he didn't have a bit. He didn't have the right eligibility. He should have been emotionally disturbed. They let it lapse, and he should have had a behavior management plan. A bit, actually, there's a behavior intervention plan, but he should also had a behavior management plan. Who's going to manage it? Who's going to intervene? And he also needed a behavior transition plan. How you going to transition from this grade to this grade, or from this school to? You need all those things. And because he didn't take it serious, they filed a rape charge. He didn't even rape her. He verbally said some things. The girl lied, and they said this: "Where's his IP?
Mm.
It looks normal to me. If he was emotionally disturbed or whatever, and he had a management plan, and you really felt that way, why'd you let it lapse? The school let it lapse. The parent let it lapse. But what
Mm.
they didn't know is the mother was on La La Land. The dude, my friend was he had prostate cancer. Watch this. You ready? Then he died.
Mm.
He died. He died unprepared. He didn't get prepared for his grandkids and his daughter, and they're in La La Land right now. You have to get prepared. And I'll go even deeper, not just educationally, but financially. Get you a living trust, get you a will, get you insurance, because God says what? We do not know. We're not promised for tomorrow. Maybe we're not promised to be here tomorrow. So you have to take those steps. And in the beginning, you were doing something, but I'm talking about the age of accountability. We are in the age of accountability. Teach your children.
Mhm.
Teach them how to behave, how to act when they go out, how to think, how to learn.
Man, it's huge.
Man,
It's
what you
huge.
talking about? It is, and that's what I do in this household, man. If I can't lead, I don't need to be the leader.
Right.
And it's something like that. But anyway, man, it's KCWGtruth.com. Father Mentor Show, man. The Lord is coming back soon. So, hey, get ready, get your heart right, get your mind right, and we will see you back next Monday. And we're going to have a great show. One love. Peace. Being a psychologist, one of the things that I made a vow to do is to treat every child like my son and every young lady like my daughter.